Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and you are listening to another episode of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and I, we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a lot of energy today. We haven't recorded in 3 days, ladies and gentlemen, but we are back. We are Bizac, okay? I was tired. I was exhausted, and I was going to record yesterday, but I figured let's roll out on Sunday. We'll hit them with the Sunday, the Monday, the Tuesday, all that good stuff. And so, I appreciate you understanding in advance. And of course, I missed you. I got to spend some time with my daughter. We went by the pool. We hung out a little bit. We had some shrimp that her mother made, and it was delicious. Okay. Nothing like good old fried shrimp. I don't know how you like your shrimp. I like my shrimp. It's funny. When I was a kid, I'm from the great state of Missouri, okay? And I don't know if you know this or not. For all the people in Australia and England and Egypt and everywhere else that might listen to the show, and in the United States, it the your fish game depends on where you live. I'm from Missouri. Missouri is in the middle of the country, so there's no ocean. So there's no well there you're not gonna get fresh shrimp. Okay, so you're not gonna get like shrimp. But from Missouri, I grew up right off the Mississippi River, and everybody knows in the Mississippi River, catfish is king. Okay, so I really didn't. I've never had shrimp up until probably in my 20s. And I remember I was in school. They had like uh, when I was in elementary school, they had this kind of frozen looking shrimp, but I never ate that because I was like, what is this? And so you know, and they only had it like once or twice. But so I never really had shrimp until I was in my 20 somethings. And the first time I ate it, I said, you know what? This is not bad at all. This is pretty good. And now my wife, the way she makes it and she fries it and she squeezes the lemon on there, it is delicious. So I highly recommend. You can't come to my house and eat shrimp, but I highly recommend you go places, like anywhere there's closer to the water, you can enjoy shrimp. I would not, if I was in Nebraska, I would not buy shrimp. If I was in South Dakota, I would not buy shrimp. I would stick with beef or whatever. But or whatever kind of fish they might have in that area, because that way you always want the best, the freshest fish. Me and my wife, we go down to Savannah, Georgia, and um, we go down to South Carolina, and we get crab and that kind of stuff, and it's always fresh. It's always a little bit better than say you would go to someplace like maybe like a Red Lobster. Not that I'm bad mouth the Red Lobster, but I'm just saying, you go to Red Lobster in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, it hits a little different than if you go to a seafood place that's right by the water. Although I will say this, I took my dad to this restaurant, and because my parents, they live in Missouri, they live in Southeast Missouri, so I took my dad to this restaurant, and it was a seafood place, and I must say the food was delicious. I don't know if they get it flown in or however they get it in. It was quite delicious. It was definitely better than Red Lobster. Okay, but anyway, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very important episode for you today. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about something that's very important. We're going to talk about something that people do not discuss a lot. We are going to talk about, people are always telling you, how to get rich, how to get rich, how to get rich. And I'm not going to tell you how to get rich today. I'm going to tell you how not to get rich, okay? Things that you do that will not get you the money you are looking for, okay? And let's start off. We're gonna start off with a few things, and then we're gonna wrap up this show. And like I said before, I know we missed the last couple of days, but I appreciate you for download. And if you ever feel lonely, if you ever feel like, oh, I miss that guy, I miss online marketing moves, I miss listening to Tony, you can always go. You can always download all the episodes from the archives. We have 800 plus episodes at this point, okay? And eventually, we are going to take down all 800 of those episodes. So I'm telling you right now, as a warning, people, there's going to come a point and there's going to come a time that we're going to take it down all those episodes and we are going to put them somewhere else, okay? So if you want to keep them, if you want to have them at your disposal, download them now before time runs out. I'm not going to say when, I'm not going to say for what, but eventually we're going to take down those episodes and then that's going to be it for those episodes, okay? And then that eventually they will become special, special listening things or special things that we use with our sales and all that kind of stuff, with other things that we promote, pitch, all that stuff. So download them today, go out, download them, and always tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. I know we're in the middle of the show and we're plugging, but ladies and gentlemen, I have to emphasize that, we are trying to take this show to a whole new level and I want you to be a part of it. I want you to join the program. I want you to be a part of the movement. And so I am telling everybody now, download the episodes, share them with people, share them with friends, share them with family, and let's make this show one of the best marketing shows. Let's make this one of the best shows. Forget marketing shows. Let's make this one of the best shows in the galaxy. Okay, it is the best show in 1, 2, 3 galaxies because as I told you before, there's a lot of podcasts, and you could be anywhere, but you're here listening to this podcast, and I appreciate it. Okay, and so now we're going to talk about how not to get rich. One way that you will not get rich, okay, is if you use your credit card for everything and you have no money to pay it back. One of the worst things that we do in America, here in America, is we live on credit. But then it's like, hey, you pay for the trip, you use the credit card for the trip, which is great, which is fine, you know, but you spend $2,000 on your credit card for the month. You use a credit card like $2,000, and then you pay off every month like $100. You do not want to be one of those people. Okay, you want to make sure that you are generating money every month, and we're gonna get more into this. You want to make sure you are generating money every month that you can be like, hey, I spent $2,000. I'm paying it off in 4 months, paying off in 5 months. You want to make big chunks. You want to slice it down as much as possible. And so, the more that you live on credit cards, the more you are going to die by those credit cards because, man, and especially if you are dependent on a job and that's your only source of income. If you have one source of income and you're using a lot of credit cards, you are going to run into a dangerous situation. Trust me, I speak of this from first-hand experience. Okay, you do not want those problems. Okay, you do not want those problems. I've seen it. I've seen that too many times. Work with enough people. Oh man, I'm going to. I worked with a lady once. She said she was going to the Middle East somewhere, and we worked together. And I know that we wasn't making a lot of Listen, I know we wasn't making a lot of money. She knew we weren't making a lot of money. I said, "How are you gonna get there?" She said, "Oh, I got a credit card. I just got a credit card." Blah blah blah, and it's like $10,000. I said, "You're gonna pay the whole?" She said, "Yeah, I'm gonna use the credit card for the trip, and and then I'm gonna pay it off eventually." I said, That sounds good, but what happens if you quit, lose the job, whatever? She said, "Oh, I'll figure that part out later." There was no game plan. It was just, I got this credit card. I'm ready to swipe. I'm ready to use it, and away we go. It's like that is a recipe for disaster. But you already know that. Another way to never get rich is, as I just stated, have one job. Now listen, you and I, we are not gonna be the CEO of Coca-Cola. You and I are not gonna run Disney. Unfortunately, I got good news and bad news for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you are listening to this program, you are not gonna become CEO of Coke, Paramount, of Disney. You're not gonna become GM of the Lakers. You're not gonna become what's another one? President of Nabisco. Sorry to tell you, but that's okay. You do not have to worry about that. And besides, I'm going to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody knows this. You know this. I know this. It's not really about how much you make, because there are people that are making $400,000 a year and they spend $420,000 a year. We all know that it's about saving, trying to figure out and better than saving, what we want to do, what we all want to do. We all want to create income that we can fall that every month that we can be like, hey, this money is coming in no matter what. If you get sick, if you fall down, if you sprain an ankle, you twist a thumb, your baby's sick for a week, your child, your wife, your husband, whatever, a spouse loses a job, whatever. You want to have it to where you are generating money on a regular basis, And I understand. You already know that. Yes, I know that. But sometimes we have to bring this up. Sometimes we have to bring up this nonsense every now and then, because repetition, repetition, or repetition. Sometimes, just like, have you ever? Me and my wife would be talking sometimes, and my wife would swear she told me something, and I'm just like, she didn't tell me any of that, and she'll say, "Yes, I did. Yes, I did." And sometimes I'll say something, and I'm clearly no. And so maybe my wife thought about it, and she didn't say it, or she said it and I didn't hear it. And a lot of times I'll say something, or maybe I'm thinking something, and I'll say my wife, and she'll say, "You never told me that," and I go, "I know I told you that." And so it's not about, oh man, you know, they don't listen to me. It's about sometimes communication. Sometimes, once you hear it, twice, you hear it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Eventually it'll sink in, okay? Eventually it'll sink in. And so sometimes we have to go over this stuff, a couple times, 2 or 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, 7 times. We gotta go through this stuff just because I want the best for you, okay? I want the best for you. I want you to succeed, and because, you know, listen, man, I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist and all that kind of jazz, but we're gonna go. Um, the way the world is set up, the way the world is designed, it's not really designed for you and I to become wealthy, to become, influential, to become, people of, it's not made for us to, really move up the ladder. Everybody knows, everybody knows that people will tell you, hey, hey, kid, get a job, work hard, you can make it. You and I both know that is great and that is commendable, but we all know that would not put mucho de lo, mucho dollars in your pocket, okay? Because you can get late, especially these days in 2024. My mom, one of her things she likes to tell me is, I only filled out. I only had two jobs my whole life. She worked at one place for 20 years. She worked at the other place for 20 years. Way to go, mom. you know, I'm working on my me personally, I'm working on my let's see. I was in the Navy. I worked at a prison. So I was in corrections. I was in the military, corrections, truck driving. Now copyright. We are on career number 4, okay? forget forget I love my mama, but two jobs ain't happening, okay? And this copyright is gonna be purely freelance. I do not plan on going to anybody's office and sitting there all day and listening to people talk about the day and all that jazz. The goal is to work directly from home, doing all that. And so I say all that to say you and I both know that working at a place and working hard and doing all that stuff will not put the dollars in your pocket. Listen, I worked hard once. I worked at a hamburger place. I was making $4.75. You tell me, was I gonna get rich? Absolutely not. Okay. But what I can do is come here, record this podcast, create this content, upload this on a regular basis, build a website, do all this stuff, and really knock it out the park and start to create money for myself. That's the best way you can go. Whether it's investing, whether you learn how to create money for yourself, whether you find part-time like a thing about, hey, you have stuff in your house you want to sell on eBay, start a little eBay store, start a commerce store, sell soap, do something that you can do for yourself. the and then you can grow that and the money will start flowing in. But we all know that just a regular job, you working at the plant, you working, at the bank, it's gonna pay the bills, but it's not gonna boost you up there. And you want to get to the point where, you know, yeah, people tell you, hey, I'd like to retire at 65. Not me. I would like to say that I plan on working until I'm, unable to work. Whether it be because I enjoy podcasting, I found something that I enjoy, I found something I like. And I know eventually, podcasts probably morph into something else, morph into something different. And so until then we can rock and roll and then we can always change and do something. But I always can see myself recording episodes and doing all that stuff. And so I tell you all that not to say, hey, uh me, but I tell you all that to say you want to find things that you can do, that you want to do, that you can make money from, whether it be, I read this thing one night about, going on different, looking at the newspaper, finding stuff that people do not want, you turn it around and selling it. Uh, it's a good way to make money, all that kind of stuff. You want to become a person who is like, hey, I can make money doing this, I can make money doing that, you know, because let's say you want to take a trip and you just like, I need a few $100, and you're like, hey, I can go sell this or I could sell that. Or I had a cousin, he was selling shoes because I remember he had 3 little kids and he was like, hey man, I sell shoes and I'm making an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month selling shoes. And he said that was getting him by because he was the teacher. And man, I mean, God bless teachers. They say people that are teachers always find different ways to make money on the side. So I guess I would say, think think like a teacher. Think entrepreneurial. There you go. Think like a teacher. Think about what you can do, how you can do it. And figure it out. But you and I both know that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're flipping hamburgers. It doesn't matter if you're working at the Coke warehouse. It doesn't matter if you are in middle management. Middle management is the first one to go. And so I highly recommend that just look around, see what you can do, see what you can sell, see what you can kind of service you can provide. I was at the truck stop the other day, and somebody came up to me and was like, you know, uh, polish your wheels, and I said no thanks, and he was like okay, and so he was out there polishing wheels. It's hot, but it's a good way to make some money, and you know truck drivers are pretty lazy, so they ain't gonna be out there polishing their wheels. So, I remember when I was in LA one time, I gave this guy $20. He polished the rims. It would look nice, and away he went. I was like, something I ain't got to do. I didn't find nothing special about it, so I never got it done again. But it was cool. $20, and he was just out there hitting everybody up. You know what I mean? And so you wanna get to that point where you find stuff, you see stuff, and you're like, all right, I see dollar signs. I see dollar signs. Not that. Of course, you have to use this caveat. Of course, money is not the most important thing, but it's important. I know, you don't have to be a billionaire. You don't have to step on anybody's neck to make a few bucks, but you don't have to be a con artist to make a few bucks. But you want to get to you make better financial decisions when you are not so stressed about money. Okay, let's just tell it like it is. Have you ever been down on your luck and you thought, man, robbing a bank wouldn't be so bad. Robbing a bank wouldn't be so bad right now. Okay, you ever had that thought? You walking past the ATM, walking past the bank, and you're like, if I could just get in there a little bit, get a few bucks. The thought crosses your mind, and you're just like, come on, man, I ain't no criminal. I ain't doing none of that mess, because you and I both know if you get caught robbing a bank, you're going to jail for at least 5 years, okay? And they're going to see you when they see you. It's not really a lot of talking about all that. And so you just want to be able to say that, you are not living on credit cards and that you are making money on your own, and you are not in a place where you're like, because I've heard people, I worked at places, and I've heard people walk in, and I've heard people just yelling and screaming and yelling and screaming. Man, I can't make no mother money here. This is some bullshit. I ain't making no money. I'm getting sick of this. I'm sick of y'all. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of that. I'm sick of you. And it's just like, well, I don't know what to tell you. It's too bad you feel that way, but the job is not the problem. You, sir, are the problem. Okay. And so you do not want to get to that point where you want to yell at your boss because you are not making enough money. It is not their problem. You want to be the person who is making money. That way, you make better decisions. You have a happier lifestyle, not because, oh, I don't got no money, because it's like, hey, I don't have to think. I don't have. You want to get. You don't want to think so much about, I need to hustle up on a couple of dollars. Okay, you do not want to get to that point. And so, ladies and gentlemen, stay off the credit cards and start generating money that will be there every month on a regular basis, and that way you are not dependent on anybody or anything for that matter. Okay. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to stop right there. We will come back with more tips at another time. But for now, that is it. We will be back tomorrow with all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. Once again, I appreciate you for listening. If you haven't already, download all 800 episodes and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mamas, your daddies, everybody about the greatest show, the greatest podcast in the globe today. Online Marketing Moves. And we will be back on Monday with the all new episode. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. God bless, and as always, everybody, peace.